So, hi everyone. My name is Ashish, and before starting my presentation, I would like to show you something, if that is fine. Yeah. So, I have one repository in my GitHub. Yeah. So, in this repository, this is nothing, just a simple static website, and it's my personal blog project. And but can you see this button over here, remote containers open? So we will see what this does. Okay. So let me just quickly click on this. And now it's asking me, it's telling me that it will open Visual Studio Code. So I'll click here. And yeah. So as you can see, it's doing some stuff, right? So if you see on the bottom corner, it's opening remote. And we will just check quickly. Yeah, I will quickly show you that what exactly this is doing. Yeah. So it's opening remote, and yeah, so what this will do is it will open a remote container for me, and it will clone all my files. It will set up my entire development environment in this machine. Yeah. So let me just yeah. So we can quickly check what's going on. So I can click on, yeah, click on this so that it shows me the logs what exactly is doing. Yeah. So yeah, so it says, yeah, it's starting. Yeah, press any key to continue, and there you go. So now, as you can see in the bottom corner, it says Ubuntu, and if I'll do uname dash a, it's showing me that it's a Linux, and if I'll do hostname, it will tell me that it's a container, and it has already forwarded one port for me, localhost 8000. So let me just try to open this, and my website is up and running. My entire development environment is up and running, right? So wasn't it cool? Just clicking a button, and it cloned my entire repository. It set up all my environment, and my development environment is up and ready without me doing anything. So this is what I will talk today, that how you can use this feature, how you can configure your repositories with development containers. And yeah, this is very awesome and very cool feature, and I absolutely love this. Yeah. So let me just quickly share my presentation. Yeah. So today talk about development environments in containers, and how Visual Studio, how to work with it with Visual Studio Code, because Visual Studio Code makes it very easy for you to use this. This concept has been there for a while, but Visual Studio Code has very cool remote containers extension, and that just helps you to adopt it very easily without spending, without doing lot of effort. So first thing about me, who am I? So my name is Ashish, and I work as cloud and DevOps consultant for one of the major banking clients here in Norway. So I mostly work with Azure DevOps, Windows containers. Yes, Windows containers is also a thing, and I also do automation. And yeah, we are mostly working on migration and modernization of our business applications. Yeah. So if you are interested in any of these things, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's my website where you will get all your link. You can also scan that QR code. Yeah. So developing inside container, what does this gives you? Okay. So you can use Docker container as full feature development environment. You don't need a machine. Your entire development environment, your runtime, your code, everything, your debugger, everything will be inside a Docker container. And you can open any folder inside this container. You can run your application, debug your application. And the advantage what this gives you is like, you can separate your tools, libraries, or runtimes. So if you want a Java container, spin up your Java development environment. If you want to develop in a Python application, stop your Java runtime, Java container, spin up your Python container. So this is exactly what it gives you, and you can seamlessly switch your entire development environment. Just stop the container which you don't want to use and start the container which you want to use. So this is how it looks. You have your infrastructure, operating system, then you have Docker, and you have your different containers as development environments. So like I said, we can separate our entire Python configuration, entire Java configuration and C++ configuration, because these technologies require different tools to work with, right? And you don't need Python runtime if you're working with Java, correct? You don't need C++ runtime if you're working with Python, right? So it's always good to separate things. Yeah. So now the question comes how it works. So I will just briefly talk about it. So you have your local operating system. Okay, this can be your Windows 10 machine, this can be your Linux machine, anything. And then in this local operating system, you have Visual Studio Code. And then what we will do, we'll spin up a container. Okay, and inside this container, so now you will say how Visual Studio Code will talk to your container. So Visual Studio Code uses this exposed port. Okay, so VS Code has this very cool feature that it can run its UI portion separate, and Visual Studio Code server portion you can run it in a different system. So that's what makes remote containers possible. That your UI part of Visual Studio Code, it will run on your local operating system, but server part of Visual Studio Code, it will run on your container. Sounds cool? Yeah. So not only your runtimes and your SDKs, your Visual Studio Code extensions, you can also install them inside a container. So yeah, all your extensions which you want for Visual Studio Code, they will be inside your container. Only theme and user interface extensions, they will be on your local operating system. And yeah, you have your source code, and then your container has its own file system, terminal process, application, debugger. So everything you need for your application will be inside container, right? So this is how it works. Yeah. And what you need to make it possible. So yeah, if you are using Windows, you need Docker Desktop with WSL2 backend. If you're using Mac, you need Docker Desktop. But if you're using Linux, you can use Docker Community Engine and Docker Compose. Yeah. So this is all you need to try this out. Yeah. So let's just quickly jump into the demo. So I will quickly show you how you can set up a development environment for yourself. So I am in this virtual machine. So this is a very new virtual machine running in Azure Windows 10. And I just want to show you that I don't have any software installed. Not a lot of stuff is in here. I only have Docker Desktop. I have Git because I want to clone some repositories. And I have this Visual Studio Code. There's nothing else inside this machine, right? So yeah, let me just quickly show you. So if I'll do Python, it will, it's difficult to type with one hand. Yeah. So yeah, if I'll type Python, it will fail, right? Yeah, it opens Microsoft Store because it wants me to download Python. Yeah, because Python is not in my machine, right? Yeah. So this is, so what we will do, I'll clone a repository and we will set up development environment for Python right in front of you. And you will see how easy it is to get started. Okay. So yeah, I had.
Ashish, you can just put it so that you can use both hands.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll quickly clone. Yeah. So what I'm doing, I'm cloning a repository. It's from Microsoft, and it is a very simple web application. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll open it inside Visual Studio Code. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. Okay. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Okay, cool. So I will trust this repository. Yeah, perfect. So as you can see, this is a very simple Python application. Okay, it's using Flask. So all my requirements and everything is in here. Yeah, cool. And I will open a terminal. And what I will do, I will try to run this app, but it will fail, right? Because I don't have Python. Yeah. So this is so what I will do, I will set up a development environment in containers for this. Okay. So let me just try to do this. So what do you need to do this? Okay. So first thing, what you need is an extension called remote containers. Okay. So this is the only extension which I have already installed, and you can search it on VS Code extensions and you will find it. Okay. So this is what you need to use the features which I will show you. Okay. Yeah. So since I have this container extension and I also have my repository, so what I'll do, I'll press F1 in my in my keyboard. And as you can see, it's giving a lot of options. So this is the command palette. So what I can do, I can search for add. And as you can see, there's this option coming up, add development container configuration files. Okay. So yeah, this is the benefit of using this extension, that you don't have to do anything manually. You just have to do click, 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 and everything will be ready for you. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll select this option. And as soon as I do this, it gives me a lot of options. And if you'll see, these options are coming up based on the files present inside my repository. Okay, so it's giving me Python with PostgreSQL, Anaconda with PostgreSQL, right? And you can also click on this show all definitions. So it will show everything. So you can either choose these predefined configurations, or you can start with a basic Ubuntu image as well, right? Yeah. So what I'll do, since this is a Python project, I'll select Python 3. And it is asking me to select a version for Python. I'll select. Now it's asking me whether you want any Node.js version inside your container. I don't want it, so I'll select none. And now this is the special feature. Okay, so now you want a lot of things inside your container, right? Because when you are a developer, you install a lot of things. If you're working with Azure, you will install Azure CLI. If you're working with AWS, you will install AWS CLI, right? So this is exactly what it is. So this is predefined scripts which VS Code gives you. So if you select anything like if I'll select Azure CLI, it will automatically install Azure CLI for my container. But since I only want, for this project, I only want Git, because I want to be able to push and pull my changes from my container. So I'll select Git. And yeah, there are a lot of options you can use, you can install, but for now I only need Git. So I'll select that and click on OK. So as you can see, Terraform, Kubernetes, everything, you can install whatever you want for your container. Cool. For Git version, I'll select OS provided, and there you go. So as soon as I did this, I clicked OK. As you can see, there's this folder, new folder inside my repository, and it has two files, devcontainer.json and a Docker file. Now, yeah, first I will talk about this Docker files. Okay, so you can see a lot of code here, but don't worry about it. It's just scary code. So it is nothing. I will remove all the comments. Yeah, I will, so that I can show you. Yeah, so I don't want node. I will remove this as well. Yeah, so this is nothing but just a basic Docker file, right? It's just pulling a base image, right? So it's doing nothing. It's pulling a Python base image from Microsoft's container repository. Okay, since we have selected Python 3 container. Cool. So this Docker file is very simple, right? It has nothing special on it. Agreed? Yeah. Now let's check this devcontainer.json file. Okay, so this devcontainer.json file, first section, as you see, the name is Python 3. So you can change it to any name. I mean, since we have used a pre-configuration template, so it just yeah, it just came up with Python 3. I can give Python 3 Ashish name. Yeah. And now if you'll see the build part of it, it's actually targeting this Docker file, which is present here. So to build this development container, it will use that Docker file. And now if you'll see, there are a lot of other sections, a lot of customizations. So I'll talk about this customization in a bit. Okay. So yeah, but for now, what I'll do, I'll just, this file is actually used to automate the setup of your project. So I'll do this in a while, right in front of you. But for now, what I'll do, since I have this devcontainer.json file and Docker file, I will rebuild this. I will reopen this in container. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. So reopen in container, there's this option coming up. So right now this file and everything inside my local operating system, but I want to open it inside container. Yes. And let's just see what it is doing. So it is actually pulling that base image, right? Setting up Git. It will do all that stuff, and it will clone, it will volume mount the file system, the repository which we have, and it will give me a shell with that container. Yeah, so that shell will have all my container related softwares which I installed. Yeah. So as you can see, it's installing the extensions. Yeah. Yeah, looking good. Yeah, so in the bottom corner, you will see it's taking my name, Python 3 Ashish, because that's the That's the container which we are using. Yeah. And I also want to show you something that this Python project, it requires Flask. Okay. So for now, once this is set up, I will install Flask manually. But we will also see how you can automate this. That once a container start, you can define the commands. Like there are some softwares which you want to install automatically, right? Like npm uses a lot of softwares, yeah, and npm packages, all that stuff you can configure it in your dev container.json file. Cool. So I think, yeah, this is ready. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll click on plus so that I get a bash session. And yeah, let's see. Hostname, yeah, so this is a container, right? This is not my Windows machine. And let me just type python dash dash version. So as you can see now, it's saying Python 3. So Python 3 is not installed on my local machine. It's inside container. And my files, my repository, everything is inside container. Cool. But to run this, I need to install this requirements.txt. So what I'll do, I'll install this. Install dash dash uname dash r requirements.txt. So yeah, I'm just, this will, okay, I'll have to do a little cheating here. Yeah.
Probably user and not uname?
Oh yes, I think, let me try user, yeah. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah. So now it's working. So as you can see, it has installed this Python Flask framework for me. Perfect. So now I can run my application. So what I'll do, Python and then app.py. And now if you'll see, as soon as I did this, VS Code was intelligent enough to forward this port for me. So VS Code knows that what process is running inside your container. So if you are doing this manually, you have to manually forward ports. But yeah, as you can see, this port mapping is available for me. So I can just simply click on this and this Python application is up and running. So that was pretty cool, right? Yeah, but yeah, as I told you that we can do a lot of stuff because in your development container environment, you want a lot of softwares, right? It's not just runtime. So what I will do, yeah. So first thing I want to talk about is like, yeah, uh, we ran this pip install user command manually, right? But I want it I want this Visual Studio Code to do this automatically. So this is what this post create command does. It will allow you to configure your commands which you want to run when the container is ready, right? So I have uncommented this so that it runs this pip3 install command for you. And then this last section here, it's using remote. It is defining a user, right? So if you want to run your container as root, you have to comment out this line, right? But since this is available, so Visual Studio will configure this VS Code will configure your container to be running as a VS Code user. Okay, and then this features, this is what we selected when we were configuring this configuration, right? So I selected that I want to install Git. You can also select other tools as well, like AWS CLI and everything. Yeah. So this is this and extensions. Yeah. So you also want a lot of extensions inside your container, right? Yeah. So if you will see this is a Python project, and if you'll see this this repository, it's using some Jinja syntax, right? And there is no syntax highlighting here. So what I will do, I will search for that syntax here, and I want this extension here. So yeah, this is the Jinja syntax highlighter. So what I'll do, I will copy this extension ID and I will configure it to install it on my container. Yeah. So here in this section you can specify all the extensions which you want inside your container, right? It's an array. So yeah. So since I have copied this extension ID here, now it is ready. So the next time I will build, it will pull up this Jinja syntax, Jinja extension, and we will see that the syntax highlighting for index.html, it will come back. Yeah. So yeah, this is good. And then we have this section. So this setting sections is to map the settings.json files for your VS Code. So if you want to map VS Code settings from your local machine inside container, you can use this. So you don't have to worry about it. For my personal project, I don't use this. But if you want, if you have any specific settings which you want to map inside container, so VS Code settings, you can map them in this section. Yeah, so that's pretty much it related to this file. So yeah, let's just check this again. So yeah, we have given this post create command, and then we have this extensions. Yeah, and I'm not touching this settings.json. I'm keeping it pre-populated, whatever it is there. Yeah, and then yeah, we have this Docker file. Yeah, and
Ashish,
yeah.
and where do you define the target host? I mean, the deployment machine is local, right?
Yeah, the deployment machine is local. Yeah. So yeah, so this, but there are different extensions. So if you'll see remote container. So right now what I have is remote containers. So this allows me to run containers locally. But there are other extensions like remote WSL. So this will allow you to uh, allow your VS Code to be on your local machine, and you can develop on Windows subsystem for Linux. Similarly, we have remote SSH extension. So if you want to target a different system, uh,
Like Azure.
like in Azure or any different server. So let's say I have a Linux server and I want to run my UI portion on my local machine, but I want to connect to a server, then I will use this SSH extension. Yeah. But for now, I'm using this remote container. So this allows me to run containers locally in using Docker Desktop.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and related to softwares. So this is this base image is actually a Debian based base image. Okay, so you can use apt-get commands to install whatever software you want. So yeah, this is just like a Linux image. So what I'll do just to demonstrate this, I have this snippet to install Node.js. Okay, and this is the best place to install your softwares, additional softwares which you want inside your container. So I have given a simple run instruction that it will install Node.js for me. So it will install this Node.js version 14 and it will just print these versions for me. Yeah. So this is just to show you that whatever you want, you can simply use it, you can install it. So cool, all this configuration is ready. So what I want to do, I want to rebuild this container with all my latest files. So I'll select rebuild container. Perfect. So now what it will do, it will pick up all my configuration which was in devcontainer.json file and whatever I specified in my Docker file, and it will try to set it up for me. Yeah. So let's just see the logs that what it is doing. So we'll have to wait for this to finish. But yeah. So one more thing I want to talk about, that this remote containers feature is very cool because yeah, have you guys heard about this Codespaces, GitHub Codespaces? How many of you know about GitHub Codespaces? Cool. And how many of you are using it actively? Okay, cool. 2 guys, 3 guys, yeah. So that explains it, because Codespaces is not yet available for individual developers. It's only available for organizations right now. But yeah, I will give you a sneak peek on Codespaces as well. But for now, my container is ready, right? So as you can see, it has ran that pip3 install user r command, which we gave in post create command. So you can give any commands which you want to run when your container is ready, right? So now I don't need to install Flask because this pip3 command has already done it for me. So what I'll do, I'll simply click on plus and I will do python app.py. Perfect. So as you can see, it is running now and it has given me a pop-up that this application is ready, and there you go. Yeah, cool. So yeah, this is all I had for this demo. Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Now the Jinja extension works?
Oh yeah, let's see. Thank you for reminding that. Yeah, let's check that. Yeah, so as you can see, this Jinja syntax highlighting is back. Yeah, earlier it was like just black and white. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the coolest part. Now I'm thinking, how should I get out of this virtual machine? It's not. Yeah, I will stop presenting and then probably. Oh yeah, I'm out of it. Yeah, cool. I will start presenting again. Yeah, so that was my demo. So this is very cool, and I use it actively for my personal project as I showed you. But yeah, yeah. So just going through what we did again. That we have our container configuration stored in dev-container.json file. You can specify any extensions which you want to install, and specify post create commands to prepare your environment. For this demo, I showed you single Docker file, but there can be cases where you are using databases as well, right? So you can use Docker Compose to set up different containers which you want to use for your development environment. And you can also pick predefined configuration as I showed you. For my personal project, I use Ubuntu base image, but for this demo, I showed you predefined Python configuration. And the features option is like I showed you, like you can install Git and Azure, which is this is the features option which VS Code gives you. So it has a pre-built scripts available for you for the common tools which you want for your container development container.
Ashish, one question.
Yeah.
Have you tried connecting to cloud resource like a VM in cloud where you are deploying the container?
Yes. So no, personally I have not deployed to cloud containers, but you can do it from inside container. It is like simple setup like you do for your normal machine.
Why I'm asking the question, like sometimes you have to be inside particular VNet or something to do some operations.
Right.
I was thinking like if you can connect to an Azure VM and deploy a container there and give an access to someone else, so that instead of creating a new VM, they can just use the container.
Right, you can do that. So you can create a Linux machine, and then you can ask your developers to connect to that Linux machine to spin up their development environment. And this is very cool and very useful, especially in situations where we have to onboard a new developer. So when you onboard a new developer, you need to literally sit with him and help him set up his environment, because it has to be based specific to your organization, right? Your what cloud you are using, and what other types of softwares you are using. So it's very complex setting up so this is like ready-made development environment. So if you onboard anyone, just give him, he has the access to repository. He can just simply go in and spin up his dev container and he's ready to go. So no need to waste any time in onboarding a new developer, especially with the development environment. So now we can talk about it. Yeah, let's try to set up, and if we face any challenges, we'll try to solve it. Yeah. Cool. And I want to talk about GitHub Codespaces. So this Codespaces is a very cool GitHub feature, and what it gives you, that you can set this gives you a terminal, and this is nothing but a machine running in cloud. Okay. So GitHub Codespaces is very powerful. I mean, you don't even need a machine for development. All you need is a web browser. So what you will do, you will open your repository in a web browser, and using Codespaces, you will have your development container available to you. So it will use your dev container files, and it will set up the development environment for you. So thanks to Microsoft Build 2022 and Satya Nadella, I have access to Codespaces because I attended that conference. So I can quickly show you this. So yeah, as you can see, this is my repository which I'm using. And what I do, I just press the dot on my keyboard, and what it is doing, it is opening my repository in browser. Okay, yeah. So this is nothing. My blog folder, it will be available in browser. So yeah, as you can see, this is available. I will try to zoom. Yeah, perfect. So as you can see, this is the dev container file for me. I have specified everything. As I told you, I'm using Ubuntu, and I'm using some extensions which I want. And yeah, I have some post create command and post start commands which I want my container to do automatically. So it will install all my npm packages and it will run my development environment. Yeah, and then I have some additional softwares which I want: Node, Git, Git LFS, and SSHD. Cool. So I was talking about code spaces. So what I'll do, yeah, yeah. So I'll click on this remote explorer, and in this remote explorer, you see there is this option called GitHub Codespaces. Okay, so it is listing my code space here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just click on connect. So what I'll do, open here. I trust it. So now it is setting up code spaces for me. So I don't even need a machine. I don't need anything. I just need a browser to work on my project. So this is cool, right? And I absolutely love this. So yeah, I can work on any machine. I can work on Christina's machine. I can go to a cyber cafe and I can just start working on my project, resolve my pull requests.
Question.
Yeah.
How do you assign your code like that?
How do I?
How do you assign it? How do you use GPT to assign your code that you commit?
Okay, so I have never used, I have not used that feature to sign my code, but I know that you can have your configuration loaded into your containers. So there are tips and tricks available, so you can explore. So I know that it's possible, but I have personally not done it. Yeah, cool. Um, all right, so yeah, I'm here. This is my terminal available to me in browser. So I will just say hostname. Let me check. Yeah, so it's giving me code space. I'll do node-v. Oh, version. Yeah. So it's telling me that node version 16 is available to me, and as you can see, this port is also available to me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, so I think I'll have to run it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the thing is, like, this is all I wanted to show you. Yeah, that GitHub Codespaces will allow you to use your development containers to help you develop in cloud. Yeah. So that's pretty much it from me.
So I didn't quite catch it. Does it use exactly the same configuration file format for code spaces and for remote containers? Both of them are configured exactly the same way.
Exactly the same, right? So there's no difference in my environment. So I can use this in CodeSpace, or I can simply go on my blog and I can open it in my local machine as well. So I can simply click here to open it on any machine. So yeah, even if there is a new machine, it will set up everything for you. It will, yeah, it will install Docker Desktop, it will install your extension, and it will set up your container environment based on these configuration files. Yeah, so you can be assured that this container is same everywhere. Yeah.
Maybe one question, Ashish.
Yeah.
If you are able to open your code from any browser, how risky for the security vulnerability or something? Is there any such a thing has been considered during that time?
Yes, I think I will not recommend it to do it for your banking projects. Yeah, but yeah, there are definitely security concerns. But yeah, I mean, for if you are in a constrained environment, so let's say you can spin up a Linux server in your virtual network, right? And then from your local network, you can connect to that Linux server for remote development. So it doesn't have to be CodeSpace. Yeah. So CodeSpaces is good for community-based projects, right? Open source projects, all that. Yeah.
So Ashish, when you mentioned that you can work with it from the cafe, probably good advice not to use free cafe Wi-Fi then.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Not for your banking projects, yeah, but you can use for your personal projects. Yeah. So I hope you liked it. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to work on it with you. Yeah.
We have been using remote WSL for .NET development, and it has been a bit hard to do debugging.
Okay.
How does that work in this case when it is a remote containers?
Yeah.
Visual Studio is better when it comes, like a .NET developer for me, Visual Studio has been always better.
Hmm.
But when it comes to code, it is not that good, I say, in all terms.
Right.
So sometimes I want to say, okay, can I do this, open this code from Visual Studio on my local machine, although the code is on WSL?
Right.
It's been a bit hard.
I agree.
Do you know how that would happen here in a remote container?
See, debugging is available to you in remote containers. So you can debug like just as normal. Okay? It won't be a problem. But as you said that there is difference between editors. So if you are used to Visual Studio, then VS Code is definitely different. So Visual Studio does a lot of things in backend for you, which VS Code does not. It's a lightweight editor. VS Code has been made to do different things, and Visual Studio is for it. So like I'm using Linux environment. There can be cases where you might be developing some application which require Windows specific operating systems, right?
No, I would not need Windows environment.
Right.
My code still is on WSL. I'm running everything fine.
Hmm.
Python works fine. Everything is fine. But for .NET C# applications, I still need. I like Visual Studio.
Right.
I will still try to use Visual Studio.
Hmm.
But code is still there on WSL. So that has been not working very well.
Okay. Okay.
Visual Studio 2020. It could be us or I don't know.
Yeah, I have not personally used, but I think Microsoft is working to bring this feature in Visual Studio as well. I know they have very good Docker support, and so they will bring this feature to Visual Studio as well. So you can use Visual Studio for remote development, but I'm not sure whether it is possible today. Yeah, for now I'm using this. Yeah, and just one last advice: you don't have to use VS Code to do this. You can also set up development container environment on your own, but you have to make sure that you are using right command. So I can show you that. So earlier I was using this what do you call repository, so called Jekyll. I can show you. Let me just quickly search my repositories. Yes. Here. Yeah, so I can show you this. So yeah, I mean, you don't need VS Code to develop inside containers. You can, so I can just show you. So this is the Docker file which I was using to set up my Jekyll development environment. So I'm using this Ubuntu base image, and then I'm installing whatever softwares I want. So like I installed Ruby, and then build essentials, GCC, everything. And then at the end, I'm installing this Jekyll bundle. Yeah, and this is to copy my repository to inside my container, and then I'm running the bundle install. So just to show you that you don't need VS Code to develop inside container. You can create your own Docker file, but of course there are a lot of things in backend which VS Code does, which will not be available to you. Yeah. So yeah, I mean yeah. So I have to make sure that I'm forwarding correct ports, right? So if I'm running Jekyll, I need to forward 4000 to my local machine, and 35729, this is the port required for live reload. So when I make any changes in my code, it will this port will make sure that I'm able to reload it in my browser. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Ashish, can you tell when it will be available? Do you know, for non-enterprise
GitHub Codespaces, I think pretty soon, but you'll have to pay for it. So what I'll recommend is like just search for Codespaces, and they will announce it pretty soon, I think. Yeah, but you'll have to pay for it. For now, I'm using it for free, so I'll recommend. Yeah, at least attend any Microsoft sessions like Build and Ignite, and for attendees, they usually give these kind of features to you for free. So I was very lucky that I have it for free. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.